Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make and keep a ton of money, which is all made on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today. We've got Bitcoin bouncing back. It went above 111K. I think it just dipped a touch beneath. We'll do a little roundup on what we think is going on with the majors at the moment. Got Stripe announcing, this was just before the weekend, right at the end on Friday, Stripe announcing a $500 million Series A raise at 5 billion FTV for its blockchain Tempo. That is pretty big news. I think it has big implications for the rest of the EVM. And finally, MegaETH buys back 4.75% of its equity and token warrants from investors before the token has even gone live. So delighted to have Brett on the show today to speak to that one. That's pretty big news, quite unusual news. So I'm very interested to hear about that. And as usual, we've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs and general discussion on what we think is going on in the market at the moment. Delighted to say I've got Legendary and Brett in the co-host seats with me today. We are ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice in any way. This market is incredibly risky and we don't know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it's Monday. It's the 20th of October. How are you doing, my man?
GM, doing quite well. Had a beautiful spa weekend away from the screens, which is not totally quite true. I still was on my screens doing some stuff. Had a bit of a shock moment yesterday night, which I posted in the Telegram chat. So I was posting this mint on Solana, which did quite well. It 5x'd. And then I check my X and I see a notification, Zach XBT replied to that. Like whenever I see like Zach in my comments, which happens rarely, but happens, my heart rate always goes up. I'm like, damn, did I promote something wrong? Did I share a scam? Did something go wrong? But he was just commenting on the art of the mint, which apparently entertained him. So it was a Sunday afternoon entertainment and heart rate maximizer.
I think it doesn't matter who you are or like what kind of work you do. If you get a notification from Zach, you're just like, you're going to be a little bit more alert than you were before, I guess. For people who don't know, Zach XBT, of course, digital Batman of crypto, going around crushing the bad guys who are operating not in the correct way. So that's
you see him catch there's an XRP bro that he's like went after this over the weekend. It was like $3 million. The guy got taken from his cold wallet. Couldn't say how, but yeah, just the amount of knowledge he has about the funds being sent all over the world and like just the rep that each of these services have. And like, man, yeah, he's
one
crazy.
of one individual. Good. So Legendary survived a reputational scare from a Zach XBT comment. Brett, how's your weekend in contrast?
Pretty lazy, if I'm being honest. Like we had a big week last week for Mega, so
of course,
I'm sure
multiple
you guys can
announcements,
imagine,
right?
Yeah, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday each had like a decent sized announcement that we were pretty proud of. It took a lot of prep and a lot of coordination, and so like, man, my days have been very long for a while now. That like set some of this stuff, and we're not done. We still have stuff to come that requires effort. So yeah, my days were long. So I took a little bit of a break this weekend, kind of chilled. Still worked, but like not as intensely. I took present on the timeline a little bit more than I have been the last, I don't know, probably month, because I actually had the time to actually sit there and talk and tweet and do whatever, engage in conversation. So that was fun.
That's nice. As you said, a lot of like big announcements and stuff last week for you guys. Probably quite helpful to take a little bit of time for yourself.
How about you? What were you doing?
For me, I think things are a lot of moving parts in my life at the moment. So I think even if the market was hot, I would probably be taking it a bit slow because I've just got some other stuff to sort out at the moment. But I don't even if I wasn't on the move, I think I would be taking a bit slower as well. So I think just being away a little bit, noticing, paying attention to the types of conversations people are having. Really appreciate our Telegram chat for just, being around. We talk about like what it takes to be successful in space, and like, ultimately if things go quiet a bit, you still turn up, you still participate, you still have conversations with the people who you respect. And so, just enjoying a period of time where I don't think you need to do anything drastic, still digesting what's been happening the last couple of weeks, or, from the fallout of the last big kind of crash. And so, yeah, just trying to take it easy, enjoy some stuff in real life, and, just just relax, basically.
Get your head
a little
right.
bit. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, in the end, we still ended up doing a bunch of work on some of the business side, but that's the opportunity to do that stuff then, right? Like, if you don't have to press buttons as much anymore, then you can start to look after some of the other business things a little bit more. So kind of taking the opportunity.
This weekend's probably one of the more calm ones we've had in a while. Like, thinking back over the last month, we had the big crash. We had like price has been so volatile the last last month that like I can't remember this is the first weekend I haven't like felt compelled to like heavily trade the weekend, because like there was so much going on, whether it was a meta or like the perp meta or the everything else that we were doing week after week, or the big crash. Like, yeah, this is the first one that felt like just like, okay, I can breathe. Like, the space isn't going to leave me behind over the next.
It's funny, isn't it? It's I'm a really, really big believer in just watch it. Like, once you are locked in sufficiently, just instead of taking signals from other people, just watch your own behavior, go with your own feeling. And the fact that all of us, and like Brad, you have gone through the trader arc. I mean, arguably still in it in some way. And this week as well, you're just like,
to be fair, I'm trapped in a position. Maybe. I probably would have traded had I not been trapped in a position. So like, that happens.
Okay.
Sorry to break you. What were you saying? Yeah.
Shout out to Adam Fern in the chat. The one person that's still longing stuff, still going. Everyone else seems to have like pressed the pause button for a second. But my point being, just like being aware and sensitive to where the market is and like what you need to do at a particular time. Like, we all kind of instinctively just kind of took a step back this week, I think. And I think that's the right thing to do. Let's see where we go from here. Legendary is going to talk a bit of a roundup. Bitcoin's obviously bounced a touch. I know Legendary made some moves over the weekend, maybe prepping for what he thinks might happen moving forward. So we'll talk about that in a bit as well. So let's do the usual though. Let's get everyone up to speed on the price action to start, and then we'll get into the main headlines as normal. That is my hotel phone going off as soon as we want to do that. If you can hear that. Let's do the price action for a second while I make this go away.
The price action, yeah. No, it sounds like the opening bell of the stock market, which is quite fitting to bring the price action to you, starting with the majors first. As usual, we have Bitcoin just a touch under 111K at $110,700 being up 2% over the last 24 hours. ETH does quite similarly, just a touch above 4K, up 2% as well. BNB is flat at 1.1K. XRP up almost 3% at $2.46. Solana up just 1%, $191 for one Solana token. That is gonna scroll it. Yeah.
I'm like my mental is so traumatized from the spikes down with Bitcoin. Like, we're at 110 and I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, we're so far away from where all-time highs was, because we spiked up to 120, 125, whatever. And then I'm looking at the position that I took on, and I'm still like basically back to even, because I realized like 112 was actually like that. Like, that's where I entered in. We're right back to where we were post dump recovery. Like, things are looking good.
Looks like
I don't
nothing.
like. I
basically
just like
yeah. At least from the perspective of the majors. But that's something I wanna get into as part of the main headline as well, because CT definitely feels way worse than the major price action would reflect. Also checking in with Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's up a touch more than 1% at $38. Still down 6% on the week though. And then Have to scroll a bit to get to Sui now as well. Sui is flat at $2.60. Moving over to the meme coin side of things. Let's get that loaded up on screen. There we go. Looks a bit green here. Dogecoin is up 2.5%. SHIB is up 1.5%. Pepe up 4.5%. Bonk is up almost 6%. SPX is up 5.5%. Loki is up 22% on the day, up 11% on the week. One of the few memes that is significantly in the green on the week as well. Useless is up 11%, but as many others, still down on the week. Just scrolling a bit more through the meme side to see if anything else is standing out. Mog is flat. Repeater, we talked about this one. We talked about this virtual CI agent is still going. It's up 32% on the week, up another 20% on the day. A $300 million market cap right now. This is pretty impressive. For CZ's meme, up 20%. Still down on the week though. Similar price action for Rect as well. Up 7%, but down on the week. And just scrolling through the rest, this trend seems to continue. So most things are up on the day, but still down over the last 7 days.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a bunch of stuff. So you wanted to talk about Bitcoin. Do we want to start diving into that now, or do you have a section dedicated to it?
We got the main headline to talk about BTC, and we're
Okay.
gonna get into that.
Yeah. Okay. So I was looking at everything else. Gold seems like it's mostly flat, but trending back up. It had a little bit of a spike. Things went crazy this weekend. I saw a lot of people, or not this weekend, but like the latter half of last week. I saw a lot of back and forth around people thinking synthetics for RWAs just didn't make a lot of sense, whether that's stocks or commodities or whatever. And you saw some crazy wicks that took place on Friday. I think it wicked up like 4,800, 4,900 as the industry is now FOMOing into it, and then it sold off. Yeah, man. I'm reflecting on my own feelings for everything. We went down to almost 100K. I know on Friday's show, I think we started asking the question of, okay, do we go to, was it 100K or 120? And like where we thought it was going to go next. I'm still confident that we go up to 120, but like now I'm in the position where I'm getting comfy again. And I'm like, okay, I feel like we're gonna have another dump. Like everyone, we almost hit the 100K mark. We are pulling back up. It hit up 112. Things are feeling good again. I saw a lot of conversation chatter around gold feeling overheated, and people saying, okay, this is going to start the rotation. And like the alt season is, instead of digital gold into digital alts, it was gold as the thing that is going to sell off. Gold dominance across basically everything going to start to sell off, and then everything else is going to pump because of that. So like the same mental framework that we have always used for this space being transcribed over to the world and gold broadly. That gold is the thing that was running. Gold dominance was going insane, was getting overheated, and now people are going to start selling off their gold and start buying up a bunch of other shit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking out loud and like where my thoughts are right now. I feel like we've recovered so well that I am now. This is the point where I would normally go long. Like my emotions tell me like we're gonna keep going, bro, and then it's gonna dump on my head and I'll be trapped in a position. So that's my gut feeling right now. Squiggle line down a little bit, squiggle line back up.
Yeah, I had a thought on this over the weekend as well. Talked to a good trader friend of mine as well, and a couple things on that. First of all, on the gold thing, after we had it on the show that people are queuing up for that, and then my dad sent me an article in the Austrian yellow press basically saying gold is going to infinity. It's going to go to 5K soon. I was like, okay, let me rotate that shit into Bitcoin because this seems way too overheated at the moment. I still think gold has a nice trajectory, but for the moment I did want to rotate a good amount of the position. And then I was like, still realized I am pretty much indifferent at this point between BTC and gold. So I LP'd on Uniswap on mainnet, which last week had like 40% APY, BTC gold, because I don't know where this is going. And I also don't know where the general market is going, which seems to be the case with even people like DFarmer, OG Trader, who said like, you know, it's for the first time in a long time that they don't even have a gut feeling. And to me, that makes a very big difference. Like I can have a gut feeling and be like, I think we're going to have an end of year rally and BTC is going to go to 120. And I can be right. I can be right about that. I can be wrong about that. but to not have a gut feeling and to be like, I don't know. Like if it's, if tomorrow is the 31st of December and you tell me the S&P 500 is at 7K points, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not surprised. If you tell me it's down 15% from here and it goes back to 6K-ish, 6.2K-ish, whatever, okay, that's not 15%, but say it goes on 10% to 6K, I would be like, yeah, I'm not surprised either because I really have no idea where we're going. So I feel you on that. My gut feeling is a bit absent at the moment.
The thing that I want to add to that conversation is like, I just trying to think through in like probabilistic terms and thinking through the risk reward. Like, even if we're in a world where Bitcoin goes to 130, say, and you push past the previous all-time high, or even 140, like, do you like that risk reward right now? Like, do you like are you going to be able to capitalize on it? And are you going to be able to capitalize it in a big enough way for it to make some meaningful mark on your portfolio? Because if that's all that is left, which maybe the case, maybe it's not the case, I don't know. The thing is, even if you are bullish, it doesn't feel like people are like that bullish, if you see what I mean. Like, people will be thinking like, okay, maybe one more push, maybe we can get to 150, maybe 140, and then we're going to have to tap out here. So, okay, well, if even if that is the case, then how do you express that bet now in a way that makes sure you get something meaningful for your return? Like, if you've done well this cycle already, is it worth your time and effort? I mean, in order. So what I'm saying is, in order to manufacture a return which is useful from a Bitcoin move up 20%, or maybe a bit more, I don't know the exact number, maybe a little bit more, you're going to have to use leverage probably. And then you're starting to risk something which maybe is not worth risking, is my view at the moment, which is why I'm like very comfortable being cautious here. I had bought a ton of Bitcoin at around 100, 105, 108, 110. So like that Bitcoin was, okay, say you made a bunch of profits, and you keep cycling a little bit into Bitcoin. And I'm probably still going to hold that. But what am I going to do with the rest of the, am I going to lever up with the rest of the stuff basically to capture this 110 to 135 move? And for me right now, I don't feel like that's worth it as things stand. I do still think, I still like the idea of like, keep accumulating a bit of Bitcoin over and over again over time. Like that's fine, whether it goes up or down. That's a different thing. And I feel like everyone's got sucked into everyone's got sucked into the time frames getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Everyone's got sucked into using leverage, literally. And oh my god.
Well, they did until they got wiped out. Like that was they got wiped out. Take care of that. Yeah, we'll talk with Ledge. Yeah, so they did until they got wiped out, right? Like everyone got sucked into leverage. We were all doing extreme risk on shit, and then the market got entirely reset. A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So I don't know that the appetite is there to for everyone to get back into just being totally risk on. I know I've already got back into the leverage slider, not to the same degree, obviously, because I have less capital in that bucket, and I haven't assigned new capital to that bucket. I don't plan to. But yeah, I still feel like it's a timid moment right now for most of the market.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's maybe get into the main headlines. As we said, we have as the first piece of news, BTC bouncing back up above 111K. Second news, which BCheck's going to take, is Stripe announcing a $500 million Series A raise at a $5 billion FTV for its Tempo blockchain. And we have MegaETH, unsurprisingly, your news spread, buying back 4.75% of equity and token warrants from investors before its token goes live. In terms of some notable price action, we mentioned most of that already. SPX Mertz coin up 15% back above $1. Useless coin up 22%, and Tibir, the virtuals agent, up 32% to $320 million FTV. In terms of the NFT price action, we have this CryptoPunk with a mask selling on screen for 42 ETH, also checking in with the rest of the majors. Bit of a mixed board, I would say. We have Pudgies being basically flat at 7.35 ETH. Chimpers doing quite well, up another 3.5%, up 19% on the week at 0.9 ETH. That is also to do with Chimp strategy. Bored Apes are flat, 7.5 ETH floor there. Have flipped Pudgies again on the way down, so to speak. Moonbirds flat as well, 2.8 ETH. Milady's up 1%, 1.4 ETH, but nothing too significant other than that to report from the NFT side of things. Moving into the Web3 roundup to get you the rest of the news from around the space. First of which is Cobie founder plans to create ETH treasury company with other prominent founders. Japan considering allowing its banks to trade digital assets like BTC, which is a pretty big move coming out of Japan, keeping in mind that they had one of the highest tax rates for BTC, which eventually even fostered that creation of digital asset treasury companies. Arthur Hayes' firm Maelstrom aiming to raise 250 mil for private equity purchases. Dankred Feist leaving Ethereum Foundation for Stripe's L1 Tempo. That's pretty interesting. Also timing-wise with the race, which we just mentioned. Then Chimpers being the second NFT collection to embrace TokenWorks token. Chimp strategy, as I said before, did quite well for the price action for the chimps as they're up 20% on the week. Some more news from around the space. OpenSea token planned to launch in Q1 2026 with 50% of revenue earmarked for buybacks. Kane from Infinex announces death march to TGE has begun. CBB shares an article on how they made $5 million running the best arbitrage bot on Hype EVM. And that's the one that I like quite a lot. X announcing I did sign up for the waitlist that the handles marketplace is coming, which is to purchase handles which are inactive. And that might be my chance to get rid of this underscore at the end of legendary gains, which I can't look at anymore.
The legendary handle is going to be expensive.
No, the legendary one I can't get. That's the movie studio. That's the picture studio. No way I'm going to get that. But even getting rid of the underscore at the end of legendary gains would make me a bit happier than I am.
What waitlist did you sign up for? Because like the one I saw, it's like there was the do it now for if you're a business. So like I try to get the MegaETH teams like, hey, go check this out, sign up for it, look at it. And then there's like to come later for premium plus people. But was there a waitlist for that?
I joined the waitlist button under that announcement, which I was able to.
I haven't tweeted about this thing. I need to go back and check now.
By the way, on that note, quickly talking about X, I got the notification on my phone that X is raising the subscription prices again to, in my currency, 580 euro. That's what, 640, 660-ish dollars a year, which starts, I mean, I'm obviously still going to pay that because I need it, but it's quite a lot for a social media app. Like, that's not something you are used to pay like more than $600 a year to use X. I mean, obviously you can use it without the subscription, but that's more than some streaming services combined throughout the year.
That's a good it's a good point. Yeah, starting to really ramp it up. Are there multiple tiers? I haven't really paid attention to the X pricing.
Yes.
So there's different tiers to premium. So that would be the very top one. And then
no, it's not, because there's an even more premium one if you want to unlock Grok's power mode, which takes you to, I think it's 2K a month or 1K a month. That goes into the 4 digits. But for the basically regular private subscription, that 580 euro, which is $675, it's a bit more, is the top tier one. Then you have, I think, 1 or 2 tiers under that. And then there's obviously the separate pricing structure for entities, for the yellow checkmark owners, like MegaETH and projects and other companies, which is also priced at, I think, 1K-ish a month. But that used to come with ad credits on the platform as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, definitely going to get normal people checking it. Take off Toad in the comments here saying cancelled my premium to normal for it to be worth it. Like, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to really justify forking out, you know, when you're pushing towards 500, 600 a year, I think. So that's interesting. Good to note that. Brad, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, I'm in a privileged position, obviously. So like if you get to the tier where you're starting to get paid from X, then it pays for itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I get
for itself.
400 or 500 every 2 weeks. So it's like, okay, done.
Yeah, just like reinvest back in. I bet in a way that's probably part of their thinking. If it's like,
yeah, of course.
they know that you're getting paid, and therefore, yeah. Okay. The thing I wanted to touch on before we get into the main stuff is this tweet from Cobie. I just wanted to reflect for a second. I think the timeline went on a little bit of a reflective run again, once again, on money, the value of money, how much is enough. Everyone kind of coalescing around how much Cobie has made in his time here, because people are obsessed with how much money other people make, of course. And the answer is, I think a lot of people have made a lot less than you think, including Cobie, but probably literally everyone that you think. And I think that maybe the conclusion, I'm not going to read the whole post, although there was a bunch of really, really insightful posts shared on just the process of thinking through like how to make money, how to keep money, how to kind of optimize for things over time. And I think one of the processes, one of the learnings is, once again, as you get towards the end of the cycle, or whatever moment in the time of the timeline we're at, where people start to look around and like start doing the maths and start adding up and draw, kind of closing some trades off and things like that. It's very, very, looking at what other people have made and then tying yourself to it and assuming that they've made more than you and then drawing some conclusions off the back of it is probably one of the worst things you can do, as always. I know that this might be one of the more obvious things to say, but it's just worth repeating because everyone seems to fall into this trap where they're just constantly thinking, and crypto Twitter is terrible for it, right? Where it makes you feel potentially that everyone else is doing so much better than you, which whether they are or they aren't, again, it's just irrelevant. It's not relevant to you specifically how much your neighbor is making. You've just got to focus on your own thing. And the other specific point that was made is like, in order to really optimize everything perfectly, you need to hit every rotation perfectly. You have to not get scammed at any point. One of the really interesting points that I think people who come later forget, people think, oh, if I was early, I would have so much. I think the reality is, from a lot of what the older people share, is that the people who are early got scammed. The people who are early, like the exchange got hacked and then they never came back. Like, actually, there's an argument to say if you came in just a few years ago where there was still opportunities, everything's infinitely more safer than what it was before. There's still dangerous aspects to crypto. You're actually in a better position because you're less likely to go through some of the things that they had to go through. Bitcoin's probably not going to go through the same kind of drawdown that they had to deal with once, when it was literally going to zero on, I can't remember what exchange it was. Was it BitMEX or something? And then that turns everyone off, and you have to go through like one of the most brutal bear markets ever, where everyone questions whether the whole thing's going to exist or not. I don't think we're in that phase anymore. So it's kind of easier to exist now. So just bearing in mind, I think that was an interesting conversation that was going around on the timeline. Rude Lord in the comments saying, don't jinx it. We still could. Why not? we had one wick where all the bids disappeared. Why not have another one? Yeah. To be fair, got to stay diligent and alert here. But guys, any reflections from you on the kind of reflective tone everyone took over the weekend on the process of making money and wealth and things like that?
Yeah, I love English's take in the comment and want to build on that. English said, I will take the other side of that argument. Thinking everyone is ahead of you and stacking millions makes you think big and push harder. I fall somewhere in the middle with this, because a lot of people are LARPing. Like, it for a lot of people, obviously, some like Cobie has made money. That is pretty obvious. Loopify had that post that it is difficult to tell if someone has 4 figs of 8 figs, with many people just being very ambiguous, very vague with what they post, fake P&L circulating. So just using the time as a benchmark, I don't find helpful, but using a close circle of peers like you guys, like ICO Beast, etc., who are good friends, and see like where I stack up against like my quote unquote inner circle, and how we've been all taking different strategies, doing different things, but how our like net worth has been evolving over the last years, and seeing where I fall in that range. Like, am I keeping up? Am I outperforming? Am I falling behind? I find that a bit helpful to have at least some sort of guidance and orientation, because without that, and just seeing like my number evolving over the years in isolation, it's a nice number, but I can't really put it in any kind of bracket, and I need some sort of guidance. So the CT comparison is pointless for me, but like basically having a bit of like benchmarking, maybe even friendly competition amongst peers, that I find very helpful.
Yeah, I don't mind that take. I kind of like it. That's the right kind of nuance, I think, that is nice. Brad, reflection here?
As someone who has been like on the bad end of getting scammed out of, like literally, like it's really hard to participate in this space and do everything right. Like you've articulated a little bit there. I've literally lost multiple six figures from scams in this space. So like, yeah, like it's very tough to do everything right. And I'm still doing good because like I've also hit some good stuff, right? So it's not an up only chart. I can promise you guys that. Yeah. I don't anything outside of that. It's just like I've been here since 2017. I've, been cautious that most of that time I had made one or two mistakes, and because of that, it can be very, 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 very costly. So I did not fault anyone for being here for however long and not making it, quote unquote. And like that's still a relative term. That's why like I think it's important for all of us to sit here and say whenever we do something like the percentage of our portfolio, like how we're actually doing stuff, because words, just like words alone without being like actually like definitive on what your like allocations are or whatever, can be interpreted vastly differently from different people, right? Me saying like, oh, I sized up really big on this. I'm taking some risk on stuff, but if I'm going from 1% to 2% of my portfolio, like doesn't mean anything, right? But my words sound big, and relative to someone else, for someone else, they might be writing like 80% of their portfolio in a perps position. Like that's ridiculous. Like that's totally different for from person to person. So yeah, just in general, like space is tough. Everything's relative. Numbers don't go up only. I think everyone knows that though.
Just one more comment on that. I actually wrote parts of my master thesis on that, on like the ambiguity when it comes to forecasting. And there's this great book called Super Forecasting, which makes exactly this point. If you don't use numbers and you say there's a significant chance, that means very different things to very different people. And there were a couple of examples in that book of declassified intelligence briefings to former US presidents before they had a system to put stuff in percentages. And for example, say there's a briefing that says there's a significant chance that CIA says that this and that will happen in Cuba. People thought that significant chance means more than 50% for many of them. And they were like, okay, I make my decision based on that. But they actually meant, say, 15, 20% by calling it a significant chance. It's like realistic enough to happen, but it's not the majority outcome. It's not the overwhelming outcome. So this is why I very much agree with you. It's so important that we like use percentages, say like, oh, that's 1% of my port where I'm taking massive risk, etc. With massive risk for someone else could be like, I'm literally all in with 70% of my portfolio in a 10x fartcoin long. And for me, it would be like, I have 1% in that long, which would be massive risk for me. So very helpful to be clear with language when it comes to takes like that.
It makes me think of a moment like in the past, I'm on a trader arc right now, even though I've been in the space since 2017, because I've finally warmed to the idea that I can actually like see where some of the stuff is going. I've seen human behavior long enough that I can try to like make some moves based on what I'm perceiving from the market. Prior to that, and partially because like some of the scamming stuff, I just had such a strict rule of don't touch anything. Like coming from the school of Warren Buffett of like, just don't touch anything. Let it compound, let it do its thing. And then do work like outside of that to just constantly accumulate shit. So build things, work for things, do whatever. And then just have people continue to give you tokens. And then by them giving you tokens, just don't touch them. Just don't ever touch them. Now, because of that, I have round tripped many, many dollars, 7-figure positions, like across the board on top of the stuff getting scammed. So like I'm completely numb to numbers at this point. So I think that also gives me a little bit of my superpower for, trading and holding through some of the volatility. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of my core principles up until like this year. It's just like, don't touch anything. Just don't touch it. Like assume that you don't have an edge, and just let the thing grow, assuming that your like initial position was bought into something that you think has a thesis for the future.
I like it. Look, I think it's a really helpful conversation. People coming from different, we're all attacking this in slightly different ways, sharing our perspectives. It might not be perfect. It's just like the way that we're attacking the market at the moment, and our reflections on how things have been going, which, all things considered, whilst we have had significant drawdowns and losses in different ways, going quite well. So hopefully that's helpful to people. One final take from Oxy with his hand raised, and we're going to get into some of these headlines today. And just a note, we will be doing our Yeet giveaway. We said we'd suspended it from Friday. We had some technical issues, so we're going to do that today with Friday's data. Then we got another one at the end of this week. So doubling up on the Yeet giveaways this week. We'll get there in a second. Oxy, welcome to the stage, man. Your hand's raised. What do you want to contribute here?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I completely agree. I think we've all kind of gotten numb to the numbers, and like maybe going back to like the Bitcoin discussion at the beginning. It's like, is it really worth putting, rotating a portion of your portfolio or a large portion of your portfolio into Bitcoin? If you think about a 10% gain or 20% gain on a 50% of your portfolio over the next 2-3 months, I'm in the same camp where I'm like, oh, the only way that makes sense is if you're using leverage. But in reality, TradFi would kill for that kind of a return. And we're just like, oh, well, 20%. Are you kidding me? That's, that doesn't feel like a lot. So, but like this whole conversation kind of puts it in perspective of like, I don't know, we have gotten numb to the numbers and maybe not discounting those types of returns when in reality it's significant for a lot of people. So this has been a great conversation, a really good look back at my portfolio and just thinking about it holistically.
Appreciate it, man. I think the key part there before we hit the headlines is the return part of the risk reward part is okay, cool, 10%. Yeah, TradFi would kill for that 10 or 20%. But the point is the risk for that at this stage is much worse, right? Like what if we lose 100K and people literally don't know which way it's going at the moment, and I think that's fine. But the point is, you lose 100K. Beniski's writing over the weekend, like maybe we see 75, and then suddenly you feel a bit sick in your stomach. If you start putting in the size now for the 10%. So I agree with you. 10% is great. But you would rather be looking at Bitcoin at, and this is not in the far distant future, you would have rather been looking at Bitcoin at 75, thinking, oh, this could go up 10%. I like the risk reward here. Like, what's the downside to Bitcoin at 75? And you're thinking, okay, maybe it does 10, 20%. I love that. Where do we go lower? And I think that's just the puzzle that's missing from that. But look, we want to get into the main stuff because we've discussed a great deal already. Hope it's been a helpful conversation. We got a few things to do, got a few headlines to get into, but just a reminder today, we are sponsored by Yeet, the crypto casino that's done hundreds of millions of volume in the last few months, founded by trusted names like Mando, KBM, and pro poker player Ben Lam. We do have I think this might be our 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th giveaway. I should know the number, but we've got this giveaway coming at the end of today's show for the participants on our Yeeter board of last week. If you want to participate with us and potentially win up to $500 when we draw the winners this every Friday, you can sign up to our Yeet board. Lendry will drop the link in the comments either now or during the course of the show, and we'll do it again at the end of the show to bring that to your attention. Now, so we're going to do that giveaway at the end of the show. Let's hit the headlines in 15 minutes. Let's see what the most important stuff here is at Ledge. I think we definitely want to go to you on the gold stuff, although maybe we talked about that already. So tell us what you think about Bitcoin bouncing and your little rotation maybe that you've made. What's your thinking?
Yeah, I'll keep it a bit quick on this one. As we said, BTC had a run up back to 111K. Let me get the chart up on screen. At the same time, the market is still both on the coin market cap index as well as on CNN's index driven by fear. Nonetheless, on the stock side, the pre-markets look good. They are in the green anywhere between 14 and 36 bips. We've also seen some volatility moving on to the next asset class in the gold price. Gold went above 4.3K and is down from that. More than $100 has corrected again. So that's quite a lot of intraday volatility for gold that we're experiencing at the moment as well. Seems like the market doesn't know entirely how to position itself at the moment. One stat that I also want to bring in that is going back to BTC, which we haven't looked at in a bit, are the Bitcoin spot ETF net inflows in US dollars over the last days. So Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday last week have been read with outflows of 360, 530, and 104 mil. It was one inflow day with 102 mil. But then again, the day before that, the Monday, was a strong recorded a strong outflow of 326 mil. So a red week for Bitcoin ETFs that to note. And what we've also seen on the timeline, charts circulating, like when BTC is correcting down and gold is topping, this is when the BTC gold inversion happens, and BTC is going to go up again. Happened last cycles. That wasn't the thing why I wanted to trade a fair amount out of my gold that I purchased during that massive liquidation cascade 10 days ago. But it was more to do with what I've already said, that all the newspapers started to report on gold prices hitting new heights. And we didn't have had that with crypto this cycle to the same extent. People lining up to buy gold, people seeing all those forecasts as gold's going to hit 5K. And what we also had is this Financial Times article, which I digested last week, on the unreported gold buys by central banks, all of which are now up a lot on their gold purchases. So for me, all of this felt, and I'm still long-term bullish on gold as an asset, but that felt a bit toppish. And I just wanted to use that BTC correction to rotate some of the gold, or a lot of the gold, more than half actually, which I had bought 10 days ago, to rotate that back into BTC. One important thing to keep in mind with that is that this gold that I purchased was at a discount because it had depegged. So I obviously wanted to lock in some of those gains as well.
Fair enough. I think one thing that's probably worth articulating again in terms of the different ways we go about these things, you are specifically, I think, trading on a way shorter time frame to us at the moment. You're like, okay, I'm going to buy gold when it's depegged. I'm going to rotate out at this point. Bitcoin's now undervalued versus gold at the moment, and therefore I'm going to do that. Like, for me, from my perspective, I was very, very underweight gold, like full stop, underweight gold, and therefore I needed gold. And so the gold that I buy, in the same way that the Bitcoin that I buy in some ways, is just like, look, I'm buying gold because I think it's undervalued and it's going to go higher over time. I actually think that now still. I'm not going to, personally, I'm not getting too concerned of like, oh, is it, are there articles about gold hitting top? Maybe it's going to pull back versus like, me personally, I'm not interested in that. I'm just like, I think gold goes higher over the next 3 to 5 years or something. Under the Trump administration, gold's going to be higher later, I think. And so that's the way I'm expressing it. I'm taking a bit more of a like buy and hold that specific asset, and I'll trade around with the other assets. But gold for me, I don't know if it's a psychological thing because it's like a traditional asset. I'm like, no, you can't. In the same way you don't trade your Bitcoin, maybe you don't trade your gold. That's just a bit of an arbitrary thing I put on myself, but that's just how I'm thinking about it. So that's, yeah, just thought it'd be interesting to articulate that difference. Brad, did you want to come in on any of that conversation, or should we keep it moving?
Now we've talked a lot about gold. I want to talk about the nerd stuff.
Okay, well, let me do the second headline first, and then definitely want to get to your headline as well, which is the
tempo is the nerd stuff for me.
Oh, okay. all the nerd stuff. So I'll just set this. Oh, do you want to do this? Yeah, you do this. I think it looks like you've prepared it, right?
I didn't prepare it. I just had some notes in there for us to talk about. But okay, kick it off, and then I'll come in.
All right, let's do it. So the two things we do want to talk about before we close the show and the Yeet giveaway is Stripe announcing the 500 million Series A raise and the MegaETH buying their token back. So the headline here is that Stripe-backed Tempo blockchain raises $500 million Series A at a $5 billion valuation. Cements Tempo as one of the most valuable new entrants in the stablecoin infrastructure race, highlighting Stripe's growing crypto ambitions. Everyone knows that Tempo is the L1 from one of the biggest companies, Stripes. We were having a little bit of a chat about this in the chat earlier. really coming to the conclusion that Stripe obviously is an absolute monster, and it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to compete with them when it comes to stablecoin transfers around the world. Having said that, they're a very specific kind, right? Maybe this is a far more corporate blockchain where they're going to transfer all of their users, or at least have a lot of distribution to the people that they already do business with, and be able to push those people on chain. So they'll definitely take that bucket. There probably will not be only one winner. It's not like Stripe's going to have 100% because they're such a big entrant. But the learning for me, or the thinking for me, and this is what I'm really curious for your perspective, Brad and Ledge, is it made me feel very instinctively bearish for all other people. I know we've spoken about Stripe before, but paired with, for example, and this is the note that you made in our show notes, paired with, I don't know these dev guys, but one of the Ethereum Foundation significant developers, I believe, Dankrad Feist, has left the Ethereum Foundation in order to go and join this more corporate blockchain. And I feel like that's like one of the first, to me, when I read that, I was like, this is a really big thing. I don't know if you thought the same thing, but like, I thought it was a really big thing if talent starts moving from the original kind of core idea of how decentralized money should move on the internet into these big corporate entities who are, going to do extremely, extremely well. But the more people leave, I think that's like and I think that's an indication for what things for things to come, to be honest. I think that's like going to be the start of a variety of things. So you've got Stripe doing this now. You've also got Arc coming from Circle, so we'll see what they do. But curious for your thoughts here, Brad, on the significance of this raise and the trajectory for a company like Stripe.
Yeah, so I wrote several long.
Around.
Yeah, I wrote several long form pieces on this, and even drew some pictures for people. Yeah, this is obviously pretty huge. So for context for other people, so Stripe Tempo, as Bichek said, is the Stripe plus Paradigm being key here, internal to our ecosystem led blockchain. So Matt Huang he was a partner at Paradigm, is now the CEO of Tempo. Ithaca and Georgios is like the head researcher for Paradigm. They're the creators of Reth, the client, which is seen as like the fire dancer of Ethereum. They created that along with a suite of tools that are like Vanguard creating EIPs for EVM ecosystem, which just means it's like a bunch of researchers that are creating a bunch of really cool, strong edge tech to be utilized in Ethereum. They've been trying to push Ethereum forward. Ithaca is the company that's like the sub company underneath Paradigm that has been doing that. They have Porto, the wallet. They have Reth, the client. They have a bunch of shit. They also were taken over to and are now fully inside of Tempo. So now Tempo is an EVM chain. It is very fast. It has a closed validator set. And they have all of Paradigm's weight inside of the ecosystem. They have all of Stripe's distribution outside of the ecosystem. And then now they're pulling in Dankrad Feist. Dankrad is the person who is the creator of Dank sharding. That's why Dank sharding, which is like one of the scaling, upcoming scaling mechanisms for Ethereum, and proto Dank sharding, which was the first implementation of it, which was the blob stuff that I tweeted a bunch about. So he is one of the people who's been one of the strongest advocates for Ethereum scaling mainnet for the longest time. So losing that voice to Tempo, along with a bunch of other people. So if you followed everyone else that they've built, Malesh is a special mechanisms designer from Consensus. He's the one that's actually leading the team over there. They've just continued to poach people, and they will continue to poach people of the highest caliber. So you cannot look at this and say that it is a good thing for everyone else. Like this is now a extremely well capitalized blockchain that has some of the best talent. They're already valued at $5 billion, at $500 million war chest, and the distribution of Stripe, it's going to be a big one, like the biggest one. It's very, very, very compelling as a new team. So it's something I want to have exposure to. It's like there was a lot of back and forth when Dankrad put out the post of like he was saying he's joining Tempo, saying, it's an EVM chain, we're Ethereum aligned, we want to grow the pie, all that shit. Bros, they're going to eat the fuck out of whatever pie they grow. Like that, but the irony of this thing is this is no different than every other chain. Like you should perceive every chain that is not Ethereum mainnet as competitors to Ethereum mainnet in some regard. There will be overlap. Now, the difference is like where like things get blurry and there's a little bit of a Venn diagram overlap is chains like, you know, like MegaETH will be one, Base, Arbitrum, things that settle to Ethereum, and that actually gives ETH the asset a privileged position inside of the ecosystem to where like you have escape hatches, you can do all these things, you can escape to the L1, you can have a little bit of composability, but it's still minimal. Those chains, because and they use ETH as gas, those chains, there is a little bit of like, hey, maybe this will actually be beneficial to us because now you're using ETH as a money on the chain, and it can have more flexibility, do more weird shit, like all of this stuff, like acquiring ETH to play with virtuals on Base is a perfect example, right? People are buying ETH because they want to play with virtuals. Virtuals can only exist on Base. It cannot exist on Ethereum mainnet because of how slow Ethereum mainnet is. Like that is the only value proposition. None of these chains are going to pay anything meaningful when it comes to fees. So like whenever you start looking at the rev and the whatever of ETH mainnet, like that'll be fucking zero unless like it grows its own pie and starts having apps and all the other shit. So that's the furthest I will go for a chain outside of Ethereum actually adding benefit to ETH, the asset. Outside of that, if you're a Avalanche, if you're a Monad, if you're a fucking Solana, if you're anything else, I don't care if you're an EVM stack thing or not, you're taking away everything and driving zero value back to Ethereum, whether it's the technology or the asset. And this is just another huge case of that.
Okay. Look, I think that's really, really interesting. You covered a lot there, pretty comprehensively. I think it's a very, very helpful take, not out of line with the general sentiment. I think when we were chatting in the Telegram group earlier today, thinking this is going to be really, really big for Stripe. But I think you gave some like more technical, interesting insight there as well, which I think is helpful. Look, I'm conscious of time here, Ledge, so I'm going to skip you if you had anything to say on this. I want to get Bread's update from MegaETH on the token buybacks. I thought that was a pretty big headline. It happened after the show on Friday, and very unique, very unique. And then, as I said, stay tuned for the Yeet giveaway, which we'll get to at the end of the show for the giveaway on Friday. So, Bread, why did you guys? What is this buyback? What are the details, and why did you guys decide to do it?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the announcement was we came out and said we bought back 4.75% of our equity from early investors. The actual story of how we acquired that is an early fund that we had used to raise was going under, and they were in a position that they needed to liquidate their holdings. And we thought it best for us to step in and reacquire that percentage that they had, as opposed to having it float around in secondary, which we have rules against, but obviously people can do whatever they want, and they can, that's just what happened. So we stepped in, we reacquired that from them in order to try to align it with people who are more long-term oriented, right? We just didn't want that amount of supply floating around on secondaries. They would have had the lockup terms and all that stuff too, but it's just like, we wanted it in our hands. So it was an announcement to say that, hey, that equity is now back in our hands for us to do whatever we want with it. We have not, and people are drawing parallels between this and like the registration process that we kicked off last week. I will say they're unrelated, right? Like we did the Fluffle raise way back in the day for the first half of the Fluffles. That was the 5K. That was a $13 million raise. And even back then, which was March of last year or earlier this year, we announced that there was going to be a second half of that at some point. So like that signal preceded this by many months. So this is just something that came along recently that we opted into strategically.
Interesting. I didn't know the little bit of the law there. That's pretty cool. Okay, and so then just for people's clarity, the announcement regarding this second type of raise is replacing whatever second Fluffle raise may have been on the table.
Yeah, they're disconnected.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, so that's pretty unique. I wanted to give you a chance to speak to that because there was a lot of excitement both in the community and I think just generally really well received on the timeline, right? Like I think it was really well received from the timeline. Both sets of announcements over the last week. So
3 sets. Chainlink partnership, bro. Gotta give the nerds something to love.
We did it. We did it on the show. We did the nerd bit on the show. I think that was Monday last week as well. So that's pretty good stuff. Now I will come to Legendary.
Speaking of, did you see the Chainlink and Redstone drama?
I did briefly. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Oracle games are getting hot. I didn't realize how still alive the Link Marines were. Bro, there's like one for our announcement. Like it was just like there's a lot of reception there. I didn't realize that where these people were. I got a bunch of follows from people with a little link in their fucking name. But then also seeing it between the back and forth, it was crazy.
Yeah, for context, someone from one of I can't even remember. I don't like getting involved in drama too much. Yeah, like
it's just drama.
People were going after people, trying to dox people, and it's just like late cycle stuff. As people are getting anxious, the doors are closing, and let's try and get as much as we can. Let's try and rip people down if we need to in order for us to win. I feel like this type of thing will happen more. I've spoken about it on the show. It's happening already. I expect more fallouts across the board when you're doing business at the end as people try and grab whatever they can. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Keep an eye out. Stay safe. Ledge, a view from you on either of those last 2 headlines, because we left you out for a moment, and then let's do the giveaway. So any final takes from you?
Yeah, just a mini question for Brad on that token buyback. Is that difficult to execute from a legal perspective, or not as much?
I actually wasn't involved in like some of the actual finer details of it, so I can't actually speak to. But I don't perceive it like I didn't get that sense from internal conversations. No.
Cool.
Okay, let's do it then. So that was the show for today. But obviously, we said we had to delay the Yeet giveaway from last weekend. Of course, Yeet is the crypto casino run by Mando, KBM, and pro poker player Ben Lamb. We've been partnered with them for months now. We've got our own Yeeter board. You've all been yeeting away over the months, and we do a giveaway every single week. It's for $500 now. It's fixed in stone. We pick one person per week, and so this is going to be our pick for the Friday gone, and then we'll do another one this Friday for this week's activity. So, Ledge, passing it over to you here. What was the assessment criteria? How many people have we got up? How much activity was there? What are we looking at now?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get the wheel up on screen and get some details out. Last week, we had a Funky in the top spot with 25K in volume. Atari got second place, 10.6K. Third place going to J Mouse with 10K. 16 people on the Yeeter board. And we did some weighing for the volume. For the top 10 extra entries, additional extra entries for the top 5, for the top 3, and additional extra entries for the top 1 place, which led us to this wheel of names, which I'm sharing on screen. B, did you want to get back in?
I just wanted to say shout out to the market crew for their participation in that kind of week before, where we were up against FOMO hour for 5 days or so. We did more than 6 figures of volume during that week. FOMO did do more than us. It was a tough draw, I think, the initial one, but in general, like we would have won a lot of the other head-to-heads in that respect if we had a different draw. Very interesting dynamic, and certainly a successful one from a company perspective from Yeet, as they figure out ways to keep things fun, keep things exciting, keep people kind of playing against each other. It's like tournament-based trading, gambling, competitive aspect. I thought it was from a corporate perspective, I thought it was like a really interesting rollout. So shout out to them for putting that on.
One fun fact on that is that there's SEAL Team 69, who's a whale, dominating the Yeet leaderboard, and he's also participating in that, and he's running that solo. And it's doing crazy amounts of volume.
Gosh, okay. Right, so who's going to be the winner here? Let's take it away. Got the wheel up on the screen for the people who are watching in.
And we shall spin the wheel and see today's winner. Wheel is getting slower. Looks like Funky. It's skipping Funky. It's skipping Big Trade. And J Miles, number 3 on the leaderboard, is taking away the win for the day.
J Miles, I believe that is his second win. Is that right?
I think so.
First time, second winner. Not bad. Not bad. The chances are pretty good here, guys. Like that's not bad odds at all if you do a little bit. Obviously, remember to gamble responsibly. It is, it's a risky business, so definitely do that. But congratulations to J Miles. We will. We actually will have all of his details already, right? So we will get that sorted out for you in the next 24 hours or so. If you want to participate with us in this, the link is in the comments. You can sign up to our Yeet board as well. Shout out to Yeet for partnering with us over the last few months. It's been fun to do that. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Really interesting conversations. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. Thank you to Legendary and Brad for co-hosting with me. Thank you to Oxy for his contributions today. And thank you for joining us across the various verticals. We hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.